Hello, welcome back. I'm going to do this video. It'll probably be two parts. I see a lot of Terminator X cars, highly EFI cars that don't start very well, cold start, warm start, and the idle's just not right on them. See a lot of them on the internet and car shows, racetracks, and they just have some of them are supposed to be tuned and they barely get them to start. I'm gonna go through everything that I can think of, everything I do that relates to startups and idle. I go a lot deeper on the second video on the startups. I'll actually do some with the car that this file is from, and go through the logs as to how to break it down and make some good improvements on how it does start. Everything. This is a finished, about 99% finished file, I would call it. I switched the timing table back to where it started because when I get into the second video, I had to do some things to the timing table to get the startup right. And I'll go back through what I did. But anyway, that's how it starts off. Uh, One of the things I don't really like about the V3 or most of the Holly software is they give you the prime percent. I think the Wizard sets this at 150 and have the prime duration. I think it sets it at 5. Pro tip, set this duration to a half a second and set the percent to maybe 25% or 50%, or just shut it all off in the beginning and take care of this cranking fuel as well as you can. And then you can go back and add in that percent and the duration very slightly if it's necessary, because anything you do with that, there's no breakdown on the temperature. If whatever it does here, it may be fine on 20 degrees, but it can't be right on 20 degrees and 200 degrees. It should be a way to break that down according to temperature, because if you get one to start when it's really cold, based off of the prime and the prime duration, then it may flood when it's doing a hot start. So keep that to a minimum and don't build the tune around it being set very high. Save it for last, bring it in slowly if you need it. This cranking fuel has been tuned cell by cell. It didn't just throw some numbers in here. It's been tuned cell by cell between 60 and about 210 degrees. And then the balance of that has been calculated and put in, and we'll probably get it later. After start, same way, it's all been tuned cell by cell. And this is good to keep to a minimum also. You have to put it in to whatever degree, but back it down as much as possible, because this can contribute to the flares on a startup, because it throws fuel in. Same with the decay. Decay this enrichment out as soon as you can. You have to leave it long enough, but when it gets to that point, decay it out. Injector phasing, that can make a lot of difference. It cannot make much difference at all. Have to do a separate video on that. This has had the closed loop learn turned way down now. Under the advanced, I only changed two things. It's basically in the default settings. Up to the timing, cranking parameters, this crank to run RPM, generally set that 150, 200 RPMs above what the engine actually, what it actually cranks at. The crank timing, I match that to the, for the most part, it depends on how much splatter the car is getting and different things, but I match it mainly to this, because this first column is 650 RPMs. During cranking, it's going to run down this column, and when it transitions somewhere along here, it hands off from cranking over to actual idle control spark. Uh, we want it to fairly match up fairly close here. It doesn't have to be exact. This can be useful if one is lazy when it comes up of the, it comes down this channel and then it kicks over, it breaks 650 RPMs here. It's going to come across pretty quickly. And if it hangs around like it's not catching itself, it's lazy. Sometimes you can put a little extra time in here, because the out of control timing will add plus or minus 8 degrees to whatever these cells are. So I'll track it on down. Usually it'll come down, go over here to about 1400, come back down, circle, and drop off in the idle cells. But you can control a lot of that with this timing. I'll get into that a lot more on the next video. That's idle spark, P&D terms. Try to keep this P term low. That way the idle spark will work slower, and it won't tend to overshoot as much as it does. Generally, when you're working with idle, slower is going to be better, because you get so much overshoots and swinging and oscillations. So try to keep that low. This one's set up. It's set up under custom. It's a 2-wire Ford PWM out of air control motor, but it's set up under customs. You can set this customs up for the, set it up with a stepper motor too. It works good, although the stepper motor doesn't really require quite as much to get it right, in my opinion. I like the custom because it breaks it down. I can keep the P term low on the idle control here, and if it drops under 700 RPMs, then it's almost like having two IAC valves. Then I can run the P term higher and try to catch it as it goes down towards stall. Having this, all of this will still work to a point. What would happen if I zeroed all these out, because you have to build your own strategy. If I zeroed all these out, once it decayed out this 8 or 9 seconds, it would probably stall. And I can get by with running this lower hold position a little bit lower. And because this is, after you build this strategy, it actually changes this. It's a lot of places where it's going to be a lot higher, and it will eliminate a lot of bucking, a lot of cam buck than it would in the running at 35%. It is going to tend to buck, but I'll get into that now. This is a strategy that is built once you go with the custom IAC. You have to actually build a startup strategy. This one takes care of up to about 160 degrees. And outlet's going to set mostly right here. After 160 degrees, it's going to hand off to this table, and this particular car will idle right there, 2 cells. And the way I set that up is with the Ford 2-wire IACs prior to 96, I think, and some of the trucks had the vented IAC, so they bleed down quicker. most of these Foxbody and SNs bleed down really slow. So when you rev it several times, take your foot off, it's probably going to sit on. I would have it set where it would sit between 25 and 35% IAC duty cycle, and the longer it idles, provided that fans don't kick on, it doesn't go up in temp enough to kick the fans on, it's probably going to continue to drop down maybe to 20 or maybe even down to 0. And what I'll do is I'll put 1 or 2%, 1 or 2 in these 2 cells here where it's idling, and I'll continue to add 1 or 2 digits very slowly, and watch this RPM. I'll take the average on that RPM. If it's idling at 900, I'll try to catch it between 875 and 925 and call that 900 the target. And I'll bring that idle up until it just starts to break this, the actual RPM starts to equalize or break the target idle speed. And that way I'm taking the slack out. That syncs it with this table. This is a really, really good table. This particular table is comes on when the AC is engaged. This one I didn't have to tune that much, but you can tune this slightly and get a transition from AC kicking on or kicking off. It's just smooth as silk, and that's what it already was on this one. I didn't really have to move it from this from what it is now much at all. I only have to use this little 5%, little 5% kick, which that only lasts for like a half a second, 3/4 of a second anyway. And then, but that gives it just enough time for this table to catch up. And of course, it's going to be just right here in this column. But that works perfectly. And this the only thing this one has in 1D tables is ethanol. Like I say, on the next one, I'll start the engine, record the log, and show what I actually did to this timing table. This car idles idles right here. I had to do quite a bit because it was kicking over to it was getting a flare that's about 2,500 RPMs. This whole position has been tuned the same as everything else, 60 to about 210 degrees. Because this car really it's tough to get it a really clean start, because you go up a little bit on these, try to give it enough air, and then you get a big flare. I see a lot of these, especially from dyno shops that'll do it. They'll just put 100% all the way across here, and then they'll go back to the cranking fuel and dump a bunch of fuel, and yeah, that'll probably start, but that's not the way to do it. You got to choose a realistic target idle, something it likes, because especially when these are ever into a warm or a cold start, if they're not right, then that's going to make it next to impossible to get what you need it to do. But if I felt like I needed to go up on these, needed a little more air, I would go to like 39 or maybe 40. I don't jump these numbers up much at a time, not 5 or 10 points. Let's say on the next one, I'll get in the car, run the logs, show how it's got a perfect start up, perfect drives perfectly. Well, that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.